Every day that you wake up, you're given a gift of time, the gift of breath, and the gift of choice. You can choose to remain the same, or you can choose to grow. Growth is never accidental. It happens when you make the conscious decision to educate yourself daily. Education is not just what happens in classrooms, it's what happens in your mind when you commit to learning something that expands your understanding, sharpens your perspective, and strengthens your faith in what's possible for you. Most people stop learning after school. They graduate from education, but they also graduate from transformation. They think because they have a diploma, they've arrived. But the truth is, life doesn't reward what you once knew. It rewards what you continually learn and apply every day you spend without. Feeding your mind starves. Ignorance is expensive. The cost of not knowing is always greater than the effort it takes to learn. The person who doesn't read, who doesn't study, who doesn't grow, lives the same year 75 times and calls it a life. When you choose to educate yourself daily, you step into a life of power, because the world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you understand. Knowledge gives you leverage. It gives you the ability to see opportunities others miss and to create possibilities others fear. Every great transformation begins with information. You can't change what you don't understand, and you can't conquer what you haven't studied. When you feed your mind truth, discipline, and wisdom, your life starts to reflect that same power. But understand this: discipline outranks motivation. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Some days you won't feel like reading, studying, or learning anything new. Your emotions will say, take it easy. But your destiny will whisper, keep going. Discipline means you show up, even when your feelings don't agree. You can't wait to feel ready to grow, because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. The people who rise to greatness aren't the ones who feel inspired all the time, but the ones who act even when they don't. And when you learn not just to earn, but to return, your growth should serve others. True education doesn't just fill your head, it expands your heart. It gives you the ability to lift others, teach others, and multiply impact. Wealth, wisdom, and influence are not meant to be hoarded. They're meant to be distributed. When you help others grow through what you've learned, you increase your own capacity for greatness. You're not just learning for you, you're learning for the generations connected to your obedience. The most powerful shift happens when you realize that upgrading your life starts with upgrading your thinking. You can't rise higher than your thoughts. You can change your clothes, your location, even your job. But if your mind stays the same, your life will eventually return to the same level. The reason some people stay stuck is not because opportunity isn't around them, but because their thinking hasn't caught up to their potential. The world within you creates the world around you. When you start renewing your mind daily, your reality begins to align with your new level of understanding. Expose yourself to wisdom daily. Don't let a day go by without learning something that challenges you, whether it's a book, a message, a mentor, or even a mistake. Find the lesson and absorb it. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it's intentional. The greatest people on earth are not the ones who had everything handed to them, but those who train themselves daily to think, learn, and evolve. If you make learning a habit, success becomes your lifestyle. And remember, your future is paying attention to your habits today. Every moment you invest in learning is a deposit into your destiny. The time you spend educating yourself today becomes the harvest you'll reap tomorrow. While others waste hours in distraction, you'll be building wisdom. While others complain, you'll be growing. Every chapter you read, every lesson you study, every piece of wisdom you apply, it's all building the person you're becoming. So make a decision. Educate yourself daily. Don't depend on the world to teach you who you are. Seek truth, seek understanding, and seek mastery. Feed your faith, feed your vision, and feed your mind. Because the moment you stop learning, you start declining. Life rewards the student, not the spectator. So stay hungry, stay curious, and stay teachable. If you commit to daily education, your potential won't just be something you dream about. It will become something you live. Your success tomorrow is hidden in what you choose to learn today. So read that book, listen to that message, write those notes, and take those lessons seriously. You are one revelation away from your next level. Educate yourself daily. because your destiny deserves nothing less. Information is the seed of transformation. Nothing changes in your life until something changes in your mind. You can pray for change, hope for change, and even work hard for change. But if your thinking doesn't evolve, your circumstances will eventually pull you back to the same place. Every great transformation begins when you encounter new information that challenges your old limitations. Information is what God uses to plant the seed of growth in your spirit. When you hear truth and decide to act on it, something begins to shift inside of you. The seed doesn't look like the harvest, but it carries the potential for it. Many people pray for miracles, but overlook the instructions that create them. They want elevation, but resist education. The truth is, what you don't know is already costing you. Ignorance is not innocence, it's expensive. Every limitation in your life can be traced back to a limitation in what you understand. You can't rise above the level of your knowledge. The only reason some people seem stuck is not because the opportunity isn't there, but because they lack the information that would show them how to unlock it. When you receive new information, it starts to reshape your beliefs, your words and your actions. Knowledge is what renews your mind, and a renewed mind is what transforms your life. That's why reading, listening, and learning are not optional. They're essential. Every time you learn something that aligns with truth, you uproot old thinking and plant new understanding. It's like planting seeds in the soil of your destiny. You may not see immediate results, but if you keep nurturing that seed with consistent learning and application, growth is inevitable. Information gives you vision. It allows you to see what was hidden before. The moment you understand how something works, fear loses its power. That's why the enemy of your destiny doesn't fight your strength. He fights your knowledge, because if you ever learn the truth about who you are and what you're capable of, you'll never settle for less again. Every revelation becomes a key that unlocks a new level of potential. So feed your mind daily. Expose yourself to wisdom that stretches you. Don't wait for life to teach you through pain when you can learn through instruction. The fastest way to transform your life is to transform your understanding. Because information, when applied, becomes revelation, and revelation brings transformation. What you put in your mind today will show up in your life tomorrow. Information is not just power, it's potential power waiting for your action to release it. So guard what you hear, pursue what you don't know, and remember, every time you choose to learn, you're planting the seed of your next transformation. Discipline outranks motivation. Motivation is a feeling, but discipline is a decision. Motivation is the spark that gets you started, but discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning when the excitement fades. Too many people wait until they feel like it to take action, but the truth is, feelings are fickle. They rise and fall, they come and go. Discipline, however, is consistent. It shows up when motivation disappears. It's the difference between those who dream of success and those who actually achieve it. Motivation is emotional, but discipline is spiritual. It's an inner conviction that says, I will show up no matter what. You don't need to be inspired to be consistent. You need to be committed. Success doesn't come from doing things occasionally. It comes from doing the right things repeatedly. When you rely only on motivation, you'll stop when it gets hard. But when you operate from discipline, you keep moving even when it hurts, because you understand that the process is producing something in you that comfort never could. Every great achievement is built on the foundation of discipline. The athlete doesn't train because they feel like it. They train because discipline demands it. The entrepreneur doesn't work late nights because they're motivated every day. They do it because they've made a decision that their vision is worth the sacrifice. Discipline says, I choose progress over comfort. I choose growth over excuses. Discipline builds habits, and habits build character, and character builds destiny. Motivation may inspire you for a moment, but discipline transforms you for a lifetime. Discipline is what keeps you praying when you don't see results, studying when no one's watching, and pushing forward when quitting feels easier. It's what separates the average from the exceptional. The truth is, your results don't reflect your motivation, they reflect your discipline. Every area of your life that's flourishing is an area where you've practiced discipline. And every area that's stagnant is one where you've let comfort take the wheel. You have to train yourself to act, not react. Discipline means you don't negotiate with your emotions. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You say, this is who I am, and this is what I do. Discipline turns your goals into reality by turning your consistency into momentum. When you show up day after day, even in silence, even in struggle, you are building strength that motivation can't give you. So stop waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect mood. Show up anyway. Do it tired. Do it frustrated. Do it unsure, because discipline doesn't need permission from your feelings to move forward. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're proving to yourself that you're committed to your destiny. And when discipline becomes your habit, success becomes your lifestyle. Learn to earn, but more importantly, learn to return. Learning should never stop at personal gain. It should overflow into impact. You were not designed to just accumulate knowledge, wealth, or wisdom for yourself. You were created to multiply it for others. Every lesson you learn, every principle you master, and every success you experience carries a responsibility. The purpose of learning is not just to increase your income, but to increase your influence. When you learn only to earn, you feed your ego. But when you learn to return, you feed generations. True success is not measured by how much you have, but by how much you give. The person who learns to earn and return understands that legacy is greater than luxury. You can't take what you have with you, but you can leave what you've learned behind. When you use your knowledge to lift others, you multiply your impact beyond your lifetime. The greatest investment you can ever make is to take what life taught you and teach it to someone else. That's how wisdom becomes generational wealth. Learning to return means you stop seeing yourself as the finish line and start seeing yourself as the bridge. You become the connection between what you've learned and who needs to learn it next. It's not enough to rise. You have to raise others with you. When your growth starts to benefit others, that's when your learning becomes divine. Because every blessing you receive carries an assignment attached to it. You are blessed to be a blessing, taught to be a teacher, filled to be a fountain. There's a higher level learning that money can't measure. When you pour into others, you activate purpose. You become a source of light in a world full of confusion. Every time you share knowledge, you give someone permission to believe again, to hope again, to try again. You don't have to be a preacher or a teacher to make an impact. All you have to do is live what you've learned and help others do the same. If you learn only to earn, your growth stops with you. But if you learn to return, your growth multiplies through others. Every time you teach what you've mastered, you solidify that truth in yourself and strengthen it in others. You become a walking testimony of transformation, a living example that learning changes lives. So never let your learning end with your success. Use it to build others. Share your lessons, your failures, your victories, and your principles. Teach your children how to think, not just what to do. Mentor someone who's where you once were. Be the answer to someone else's confusion. Because when you give back what you've learned, you don't lose it, you expand it. Learning to earn builds your future, but learning to return builds your legacy. And legacy will always outlive income. What you give outlives what you get. The real reward of wisdom isn't what it does for you, but what it allows you to do for others. So keep learning, keep earning, and keep returning. Because the world needs what you've gained, and your purpose is fulfilled only when you pour out what life has poured into you. Upgrade your thinking before you upgrade your life, because life doesn't change. When things around you change, it changes when things within you change. Most people try to fix their circumstances without fixing their mindset. They change their job, their location, their friends, even their appearance, but somehow they keep finding themselves in the same situations. Why? Because they move their body, but not their belief. You can't walk into a new season with an old mindset. If your thinking doesn't evolve, your results will always repeat. Every level of life requires a different level of thinking. The mindset that got you where you are isn't the one that will take you where you're going. You can't think small and expect to live big. You can't think like a victim and walk in victory. Transformation always begins in the mind. You can't plant negative thoughts and expect a positive harvest. What you meditate on becomes what you manifest. So if you want to change your reality, start by renewing your mentality. Your thoughts are the blueprint of your destiny. The life you're living right now is a reflection of what you've been believing. If you think you're limited, you'll live limited. If you think you're capable, you'll rise to the challenge. Your mindset is the thermostat of your life. It sets the temperature for your success. You can't live higher than you think. The only difference between someone who lives in lack And someone who lives in abundance is not just opportunity, but perspective. One sees problems. The other sees potential. One fears failure. The other sees feedback. Upgrading your thinking means refusing to accept the old programming that keeps you stuck. It's questioning every belief that tells you you can't. It's replacing doubt with vision and fear with faith. It's choosing to see possibility where others see impossibility. You may not control every situation, but you control how you think about it. And when you control your thoughts, you take authority over your life. This is why personal growth always precedes material growth. You can't manage more until you become more. If you receive blessings your mindset isn't ready for, those blessings will become burden. That's why people who win the lottery often lose it. They upgraded their lifestyle before they upgraded their mindset. Your mind must match the magnitude of what you're asking for. Expansion outside requires expansion inside. So invest in your mind before you invest in anything else. Read, study, reflect, and surround yourself with people who think at the level you desire to reach. Don't just seek information, seek transformation. The mind that was once your limitation can become your liberation if you renew it daily. When you start thinking differently, you start living differently, you begin to speak with confidence, act with clarity, and move with purpose. The world doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your wisdom. So before you chase a bigger paycheck, a bigger house, or a bigger opportunity, chase a bigger mindset, because once your mind grows, it can never shrink back to its old size. Upgrade your thinking, and your life will rise to match it every single time. Expose yourself to wisdom daily, because wisdom is not something you stumble upon. It's something you seek. Every day you wake up, you're surrounded by voices, opinions, distractions, and noise. But wisdom is the quiet voice that speaks truth when everything else is shouting confusion. It doesn't scream for your attention. You have to tune your heart to hear it. The person who chooses to expose themselves to wisdom every day positions themselves for consistent growth and divine direction. Wisdom is more than knowledge. Knowledge fills your mind, but wisdom guides your life. You can have knowledge and still make poor decisions if you don't know how to apply it. Wisdom is the application of truth at the right time, in the right way, for the right reason. It's what allows you to avoid mistakes instead of just learning from them. Every area of your life, your faith, finances, relationships, and purpose, requires wisdom to flourish. Without it, even the best intentions can lead to destruction. The difference between the wise and the foolish isn't opportunity, it's exposure. The wise constantly feed on wisdom. The foolish feed on entertainment. The wise invest their time in learning. The foolish spend their time escaping. The person you are becoming is being shaped by what you listen to, what you watch, and who you surround yourself with. If you expose yourself to wisdom, you'll rise. If you expose yourself to foolishness, you'll fall. What enters your ears eventually enters your heart, and what's in your heart will always show up in your habits. Expose yourself to wisdom through books that stretch your mind, conversations that challenge your thinking, and teachings that elevate your perspective. Don't just look for comfort, look for correction. Wisdom is often hidden in uncomfortable truth. The people who grow the most are not those who hear what they like, but those who are willing to hear what they need. Every day, seek out something that improves you, even if it confronts you. Growth doesn't happen in agreement, it happens in alignment. And understand this, wisdom is not a one-time revelation, it's a lifelong pursuit. You don't outgrow the need for it. The moment you stop seeking wisdom, pride takes its place. You can't live in victory if you refuse instruction. That's why the wise keep learning. No matter how much they already know, they understand that every new day is a new opportunity to become better, sharper, and more discerning. Expose yourself to wisdom daily because it protects you from repeating yesterday's mistakes. It saves you from unnecessary pain and accelerates your progress. Wisdom shows you shortcuts that experience alone would take years to teach. It gives you insight before you need hindsight. And when you walk in wisdom, you start making decisions that align with purpose, not pressure. So make it your habit to feed your mind truth every single day. Listen to something that builds you. Read something that stretches you. And spend time with people who inspire you. Every minute spent learning is a seed that will produce fruit in due time. Because the one who walks with the wise becomes wise, but the one who walks with the careless ends up lost. Expose yourself to wisdom daily, because the more light you let in, the less darkness can confuse you. Wisdom will shape your words, order your steps, and guide your destiny. And when you live by wisdom, you don't just survive life, you master it. Your future rewards the student you are today. Every day, life is taking notes on your habits, your focus, and your discipline. The person you'll become tomorrow is being shaped by what you choose to learn today. The world doesn't reward wishers, it rewards workers. And the most powerful work you can do is the work you do on yourself. You are either preparing for the future you desire or delaying it through procrastination. Every hour you invest in learning, growing, and improving is a seed planted in the soil of your destiny. The truth is, your future isn't waiting to be discovered, it's waiting to be developed. The dreams you carry inside you are not random. They're reminders of what's possible if you commit to becoming the kind of person who can handle them. Your future doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you prepare for, and preparation begins with education. Daily education, the greatest difference between those who live with purpose and those who live in regret is that one decided to stay a student while the other decided to stay comfortable. Every successful person you admire once sat where you are, learning, studying, failing, and trying again. They didn't become great overnight. They became great over time because they refused to stop learning. They treated every experience as a classroom, every challenge as a lesson, and every day as an opportunity to grow. Life rewards students, not spectators. The moment you stop being teachable, you stop being transformable. Being a student isn't about sitting in a classroom. It's about sitting under discipline. It's waking up with curiosity instead of complacency. It's saying, what can I learn today that will move me closer to my purpose? Every time you choose to read instead of scroll, to study instead of sleep in, to grow instead of gossip, you're building your future in silence. It may not look like much right now, but the fruit of your diligence will be undeniable later. The habits you build today will either feed your success or starve it. Your future self is watching you right now, hoping you'll stay consistent, hoping you'll keep learning, hoping you won't quit when it gets hard. Because the more you grow, the more your future expands. Every bit of wisdom you gain today becomes a weapon you'll need tomorrow. Every book you read, every principle you apply, every truth you embrace, it's all compounding into the person you're destined to become. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent learning. You may not see results immediately, but your effort is not wasted. Just like a seed beneath the soil, growth happens before it's visible. The person who learns today leads tomorrow. Your future is already in motion, being shaped by your present actions. If you live like a student now, you'll live like a leader later. So stay hungry for growth. Don't let pride convince you that you've arrived. The moment you think you know it all is the moment you stop becoming all you can be. Remain teachable, stay curious, and never lose the desire to improve. Because the rewards of your future, the opportunities, the success, the fulfillment, will always be the harvest of the learning you're doing right now. Your destiny will meet you at the level of your preparation. Your future rewards the student you are today. Every day you wake up, you're standing at the doorway of two choices. Stay the same or grow wiser. The path to greatness isn't built overnight. It's built daily. One decision, one lesson, one act of discipline at a time. Education isn't just about gathering knowledge. It's about becoming the kind of person who can carry purpose, handle success, and multiply impact. Every truth you learn becomes a seed. Every act of discipline becomes a root, and every bit of wisdom becomes the fruit that your future will feed on. If you commit to educating yourself daily, you'll never have to chase success. Success will recognize you by the strength of your preparation. The person who grows in wisdom, stays in discipline, and learns not only to earn but to return becomes unstoppable. Life doesn't reward talent as much as it rewards transformation. You can't change the world around you until you change the world within you. So let this be your vow to be a lifelong student of truth, a disciplined pursuer of growth, and a vessel through which wisdom flows. Keep feeding your mind, stretching your faith, and upgrading your thinking. Because every day you educate yourself, you're shaping a future that reflects excellence, purpose, and divine favor. The version of you that you're destined to become is waiting on the other side of your daily learning. Don't waste another moment. Start today, grow today, and keep becoming the person your future is counting on.